They don't know who I really am, Veronica Jones murmured under her breath as the scanner on her elite charter card flashed red. I'm sorry, ma'am. We're at capacity for elite guests, Danvers said without looking up from her tablet. Veronica froze, an unthinkable combination of shock and amusement widening her eyes. The velvet armchairs, marble-topped tables, and softly glowing jazz lights behind her blurred into the background. She held the card a moment longer before slipping it into her unbranded leather tote. A beat of silence. Then Veronica straightened, smoothing the silk scarf at her throat. Flashback 2 hours earlier. Her phone buzzed with a reminder. Contract approval, $200 Jet Elegance charter. She glanced out at Manhattan skyline from her office window, straightened her charcoal blazer, and decided to test the very lounge her company had bankrolled. Back to present, Danvers tucked a strand of dark hair behind her ear. Mid-30s, precise bun, blazer pressed to perfection, yet her polite shrug said more than words ever could. Veronica stepped forward. Is that so? Veronica's voice was quiet, but every syllable dripped confidence. She swept a hand toward the buffet's empty seats. I'm surprised. I don't see any waiting guests. Danvers's fingers hesitated over the screen. Our seating algorithm only allows so many elite members at once. It recalibrates every 10 minutes. Veronica nodded, soft smile in place. She turned and walked slowly toward a lone leather chair under a golden spotlight. Around her, other patrons nursed cappuccinos and tapped on tablets, none offering to move so much as a magazine. She sat down, placing her tote at her feet. The card scanner clicked again, this time registering. A tiny indicator lit up on Veronica's phone. Stage 1, bias detection active. She inhaled the cool air scented with espresso and polished wood. Every breath was deliberate. No raised voice, no public confrontation, just observation. Every side-eye glance, every half-smile exchanged between Danvers and her teammates, every helpful redirect to the main lounge was being recorded. Veronica leaned back, crossing her legs, watching. First, the initial sting of dismissal. Then, the slow burn of indignation. Finally, a steady pulse of purpose. She would let them reveal themselves, her silent power quietly ready to flip the script. Because what they didn't know yet was that when the bias alarm sounded, it would echo from every speaker in this lounge and bring the house down. The morning light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows in Veronica Jones's Manhattan office, painting the polished walnut desk in gold. She sat behind it, reviewing slides one last time. Projections of passenger growth, lounge expansions, revenue forecasts, all tied to a single bold line at the bottom of the spreadsheet. $200 Jet Elegance charter agreement. At 69, she'd weathered boardroom storms and brokered multinational deals, but this one was different. It wasn't just another contract. It was a statement of trust in her vision for luxury travel. Veronica closed her eyes and let memory carry her back 5 years. She was younger then, hair shorter and streaked with daring silver. Jet Elegance was just an upstart charter startup competing against industry giants. Rumors whispered that a black woman couldn't lead a billion-dollar airline venture. Funny how assumptions echo louder than jet engines. She'd spent nights flying from New York to Dubai, smoothing out details with investors who tested her patience and pocketbook. Every handshake felt like a test, every raised eyebrow a lesson in restraint. Her phone buzzed again, an alert that the final internal approval had gone through. The signatures glowed on the screen. Donovan Heller for Skylux International, herself, and the board chair in London. The deal would guarantee exclusive charter rights for Jet Elegance on Skylux lounges worldwide. $200 million in guaranteed revenue unlocked new terminals, premium lounges, and bespoke in-flight menus. It was by far her proudest achievement. But Veronica wasn't content to simply collect accolades. She'd seen the commercials showing gleaming lounges and smiling attendants. She knew the press releases touted unmatched service. Yet intelligence reports from partner airports hinted at something ugly simmering beneath the surface. Bias in the staff's smiles, softness in their greetings. She decided that to protect her company's reputation and the dignity of every traveler, she needed to witness the reality firsthand. That afternoon, she slipped into unbranded clothes, gathered only her well-worn leather tote and elite charter card, and headed to Havenport International. She wasn't just a CEO today, she was a normal passenger. And if the fine print said unconditional service, then service was what she was going to demand. As she stepped onto the private shuttle to the airport, a private thought crossed her mind. Sometimes the greatest power is the power to expose the truth, and she was ready to flip every assumption on its head. Veronica settled into the lone leather chair, her posture deliberate and relaxed. She lifted her phone and tapped the tea order icon in the Mirror Audit app, then set it face up on the side table. Moments later, Danvers appeared carrying a porcelain cup. Steam curled from the dark liquid, and the sharp aroma of espresso cut through the lounge's soft jazz haze. "This is your tea, ma'am," Danvers said, placing the cup before Veronica with a precision that bordered on disdain. Her eyes flicked to Veronica's phone, then away, as though curious about the device, but careful not to look too long. Veronica raised an eyebrow. The cup was heavy with bitter black coffee, not the chamomile mint blend she'd selected. She let her hand hover, the Mirror Audit app quietly logging order mismatch 02:15 p.m. In voice soft enough for only a few feet of space, Veronica asked, "Is this chamomile mint?" Danvers's lips tightened. She tapped a few buttons on her tablet. "Our system shows you ordered coffee. Perhaps you changed your mind." Her tone was polite, almost rehearsed, but the practiced curve of her smile made it clear she knew exactly what she'd done. Veronica inhaled the coffee's rich scent, then leaned forward, planting her elbows on her knees. Her voice was calm, measured. "No, I didn't. But thank you." She placed the cup down without sipping. A younger attendant hovered nearby, arms crossed, listening to their exchange. He muttered under his breath so softly that Veronica had to lean in to catch it. "Maybe she can't read." The words were barely a whisper, but the Mirror Audit's microphone caught every syllable, tagging it as derogatory comment, 02:17 p.m. Veronica felt the familiar sting of indignation but held it firmly in check. She slipped a finger across her phone, sending a quiet notification, Stage 2, unprofessional behavior logged. Then she tapped the screen again, activating a subtle change in the lounge's LED accent lighting, just enough to flicker from warm gold to a steely blue. Danvers frowned and looked away. The younger attendant glanced around, confusion flickering in his eyes. Veronica sat back, folding her hands over her tote. No more polite nods, no more silent acquiescence. She would let them reveal themselves, one small misstep at a time. Behind her, the hum of the lounge continued. Espresso machines, hushed conversations, but everything felt different now. Every glance at Veronica, every clipped apology, every subtle smirk was a data point, a piece of the puzzle. And Veronica knew exactly how the picture would look when she revealed it. Veronica's fingertips hovered over the sleek Mirror Audit interface on her phone. The Skylux Lounge's soft jazz mingled with the gentle hiss of the espresso machine as she tapped Bias Capture on. A subtle ping confirmed activation, but to everyone else, nothing seemed to change. High above the buffet, a digital screen, formerly looping promotional images of smoked salmon and caviar, blinked once, then settled back into its feed. Veronica inhaled, letting the cool, air-conditioned calm settle around her. This was the moment everything shifted from polite fiction to unvarnished truth. She leaned forward in her leather chair and smoothed the silk scarf at her throat. Danvers approached with a precision that spoke of years of practiced routine. "Is there anything else I can get you, ma'am?" she asked, voice as polite as a well-rehearsed greeting. Veronica watched Danvers place a small plate of finger sandwiches on the table, triangles of cucumber, smoked turkey, and egg salad. Perfectly arranged, yet Veronica hadn't ordered them. She kept her expression neutral, flatlining any hint of surprise. In her mind, the Mirror Audit app had already tagged this as unsolicited service, 02:22 p.m. Next, Danvers guided a guest toward the self-serve barista station, an older woman with pearls and a pink cardigan. The attendant's posture relaxed, her smile warmed. Veronica's muscles eased, but her eyes remained sharp. Every body shift, every breath, even the subtlest inflection was being recorded. Behind her phone screen, Veronica scanned the live transcript. Words popped up line by line. "No, that's not on the menu. Perhaps you'd prefer the main lounge. Are you sure you belong here?" Each phrase was time-stamped, indexed, and flagged. Lounge lighting, still glowing amber, would soon flicker to steel blue whenever a bias event occurred, a silent alarm for an audience of one. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat, remembering the hiss of boardroom negotiations and the sting of condescension in men's voices. Now, she was gathering every morsel of evidence, weaving together a tapestry of casual cruelty. Across the room, Danvers exchanged a meaningful glance with a colleague. Veronica's phone buzzed. Stage 1. Complete. Bias, capture, active, read the notification. Veronica OPOP. Veronica opened her eyes, her calm demeanor a mask for the satisfaction swelling inside. She would let them continue, each slip, each passing judgment, until the pattern was undeniable. Then, when the moment was right, the Mirror Lounge would expose them all, and there'd be no place left to hide. Veronica glanced at the pastry case, rows of delicate sweets glinting under soft spotlights. She lifted a finger and called the attendant over. "May I have the dark chocolate soufflé, please?" Her voice was warm, polite, the kind that expected courtesy in return. Danvers hovered without enthusiasm. She tapped her tablet once, brow furrowing. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, voice clipped. "We only have savory items at the moment. Mini quiches, smoked salmon tartines. The chocolate soufflé sold out 30 minutes ago." Veronica's surprise was nearly imperceptible. She offered a gentle smile. "Oh, that's too bad. Would you mind checking again? That soufflé is one of the reasons I came in today." Danvers straightened, lips pressed. She spun the tablet around to show a sold-out message. "Our inventory is updated in real time. I can recommend a cheese plate instead." A younger server at the next station leaned in, arms crossed. He murmured just loudly enough for Veronica's phone microphone to catch. "Guess she can't handle the fancy stuff." His tone was mocking, mingled with amusement. Veronica noted the time, 02:30 p.m., and watched the man smirk. She lowered her voice so only Danvers could hear. "Thank you, but I ordered the soufflé." Danvers's eyes flicked from Veronica's face to the empty tray behind her. "That item was only for our elite charter menu," she said, voice softening slightly but still edged with judgment. "Perhaps you'd like to try our signature cheese board instead." Veronica leaned forward, pressing her palms to her knees. The Mirror Audit app had already flagged item denial, 02:31 p.m., and mocking comment, 02:30 p.m. She exhaled gently, steadying herself. There would be no public outburst, no harsh words. That wasn't her style. She let the silence settle. Around them, the lounge buzzed. A pianist's gentle chord drifted in from a hidden corner. The hiss of an espresso machine punctuated hushed conversations, and gleaming trays of hors d'oeuvres tempted other guests. Yet Veronica sat still, each moment etching itself into her memory and into her audit log. Finally, she nodded. "All right," she said quietly. "I'll have the cheese board." Danvers offered a curt nod and disappeared to prepare it, while the young server tilted his head, watching Veronica with an unreadable expression. Veronica reached into her tote and tapped her phone. Stage 2. Complete. Unprofessional behavior logged. She leaned back, steadying her shoulders, letting the tension roll off her like steam. This was only the beginning. Each refusal, each sideways glance would build the case, until the Mirror Lounge flipped the story on them all. A pint of crystal-clear champagne arrived beside a tall gentleman in a tailored slate-gray suit before Veronica could finish a breath. Danvers moved with practiced grace to his side, her tone warm and solicitous. "Welcome, Mr. Chambers," she said, pouring the bubbles into his glass until the golden liquid rose just below the rim. "We've prepared a selection of your favorites." Veronica watched from her corner seat as Mr. Chambers nodded appreciatively and lifted his glass in a silent toast to her. The older man's eyes crinkled with surprise at the unexpected luxury. His shoulders relaxed as a silver tray of caviar-topped blinis was set before him. Every inch of Danvers's posture radiated genuine delight in serving him. Warm smiles, careful eye contact, and soft laughter as she described the tasting notes. Behind Veronica's phone screen, the Mirror Audit app flicked its tiny indicator. Show of favoritism, 02:45 p.m. A subtle shift in the lounge's LED accent lighting, amber to cool blue, went unnoticed by all but Veronica. She leaned back, heart pounding with a mix of shame and rage. The same effortless hospitality so freely granted to Mr. Chambers had been denied to her, the woman who had underwritten this lounge with her $200 million charter contract. A nearby guest, a matronly woman draped in silk scarves, raised an eyebrow at Veronica. She gestured to the untouched plate of finger sandwiches in front of Veronica and shrugged as if to say, "Can you believe this?" Veronica managed a small smile, folded her napkin, and sipped her still warm water. She felt her cheeks flush, not from embarrassment, but from the knowledge that she was carefully amassing every detail. As Danvers returned to Mr. Chambers to top off his flute, Veronica tapped the app again. Favoritism logged. Timestamp added. She watched the attendant's genuine enthusiasm, mentally contrasting it with the clipped half-smiles she'd received. Her pulse slowed to a steady rhythm. This was no longer a sting of personal slight, but a damning pattern of bias. Veronica lifted her chin, meeting Danvers's gaze across the room. Her eyes held an unspoken challenge. She knew what she was doing. She knew exactly what was coming next. And in that silent exchange, the power dynamic cracked. The lounge's soft jazz continued. The clink of glassware whispered through the air, but to Veronica, every note sounded like an accusation. She was no longer merely a guest. She was the judge, and soon, the jury. And the verdict would come for them all. Veronica watched the live transcript scroll on her phone's screen. "No, that's not on the menu. Perhaps you'd prefer the main lounge. We're at capacity for elite guests." Each line was time-stamped, each bias slip logged. Her thumb hovered over the final button in the Mirror Audit app. Live Reveal. She took a steadying breath and tapped it. A discreet confirmation popped up. Email sent to Donovan Heller. Immediate action required. In that moment, Veronica was no longer a silent observer. She just deployed the first salvo of her real power. Across the lounge, Danvers bent to refill Mr. Chambers' flute, oblivious to the digital shockwave heading her way. A second after Veronica hit send, her phone buzzed. "Freeze charter deal, 200 M USD. The words glowed on the screen, stark against the app's muted design. Veronica's lips curled into a small, almost imperceptible smile. She leaned back and let the ambient jazz and murmur of trolleys carrying canapes fill the silence. In her mind, she replayed the sequence. Bias caught, bias recorded, bias revealed. There was no drama, no raised voice, no confrontation. That was the beauty of it. Corporate protocol would now unfold precisely as she'd engineered. Moments later, a hush rippled through the lounge. Guests glanced at their champagne flutes, then at the display screens. The promotional slides had been replaced by a single announcement in crisp white text on a midnight blue background. Effective immediately, Jet Elegance charter services are suspended pending review of staff conduct. Please enjoy complimentary refreshments while we address this matter." Danvers froze mid-pour, her hand trembling. The older woman in pearls set down her glass, confusion etched on her face. Veronica sat perfectly still, her expression calm but triumphant. She pushed the phone back into her tote and folded her hands in her lap. Inside her chest, satisfaction bloomed, a quiet, potent flame. She'd leveraged her invisible authority to hold them accountable without a public scene. That was impact, swift, silent, irreversible. She could almost hear the boardroom phones ringing upstairs, the CEO being looped in, his curt commands echoing down to this very lounge. Veronica closed her eyes, savoring the gravity of what she'd set in motion. The pattern of bias was now undeniable, and the real reckoning was about to begin. A ripple of murmurs spread through the Skylux lounge before Donovan Heller ever stepped into view. Veronica sat back, watching as the doorway framed a tall man in an impeccably cut charcoal suit. His silver hair was cropped close, his posture absolute authority. He moved directly toward Danvers. "Ms. Danvers," Donovan said, voice calm but carrying across the room. "I'm Donovan Heller, CEO of Skylux International." The lounge fell silent. Champagne glasses paused midway to lips. Hushed conversations stopped. Danvers straightened and offered a tight smile. Donovan's gaze swept the area as he spoke. "Effective immediately, you and the 7 other staff members present are suspended pending compliance review." He raised his hand, and a discreet assistant appeared at his elbow to handcuff Danvers' access badge. 4 more assistants filed in behind him and calmly began removing the other 8 employees. No shouts, no panic, just swift, precise action. Danvers' cheeks went pale. She bit her lip, eyes flicking to Veronica's unbranded tote. Mr. Chambers and the pearl-clad woman stared in stunned silence. A young attendant tried to protest, but Donovan's raised eyebrow froze him mid-sentence. In that moment, every staff member knew this was not a drill. Veronica felt a rush of vindication. The satisfaction wasn't loud. It was deep and steady. She'd seen every step. The programmed bias feed, the live reveal, and now, the real consequence. Donovan approached Veronica, extending a polite nod of acknowledgement. "Ms. Jones," he said, voice lowering enough for only her to hear. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll have a full report ready by end of day." Veronica inclined her head. No smug words, no public boast. Just the quiet knowledge that justice had been served. As the suspended employees were escorted out, Veronica's heart thumped with a mix of relief and responsibility. The room's amber lighting returned, but it felt different, warmer, more honest. Guests resumed their drinks, but the atmosphere had shifted. Whispers of, "Did you see that?" and "I can't believe it," drifted through the air. Veronica rested her hand on her phone, where the Mirror Audit app gleamed with Stage 3, immediate suspension confirmed. Her pulse steadied. This was the turning point. The moment polite society yields to accountability. And for every passenger who'd ever felt invisible, this was proof that even the silent power of a single card could reshape the narrative. Donovan Heller stepped back, his eyes sweeping across the remaining staff assembled near the buffet. Behind him, the promotional screen now replayed a crisp caption, "Recorded bias incidents," followed by short audio clips of Danvers and her team making dismissive, derogatory remarks. Each snippet was punctuated by its timestamp and the Mirror Audit logo in the corner. A hush fell so deep that Veronica could hear the soft whir of the espresso machine slowing to a stop. The 9 suspended employees had gone, but the other 8, hosts, bartenders, even the pianist, stood rooted to the floor, faces ghostly pale. Their expressions shifted rapidly. Confusion, guilt, outright shame. One of the bartenders, a woman with a carefully coiffed bun, opened her mouth to speak. "Mr. Heller, this has to be a mistake. We were just following protocol." Her voice cracked. and she looked down at her perfectly starched uniform. Donovan raised a hand, gentle yet firm. "Protocols only matter when they're applied equally," he said. "Our system has logged every word, every hesitation. There are no mistakes here." He tapped the screen, and the next clip played. A male server whispering, "She's probably not even a charter member." The room collectively flinched. Veronica sat forward, her heart hammering in her chest, not from triumph, but from empathy. These were people with families, bills to pay, reputations built over years. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling a twinge of regret. This wasn't about vengeance. It was about accountability. Another host swallowed hard. "I didn't know my comment would be recorded," she whispered. Veronica recognized that voice. It had been right behind her when she ordered the soufflé. The woman's shoulders trembled. Veronica touched her phone lightly. Stage 4, review and reflection active. The app logged the room's atmosphere. Shock, remorse, silence. She leaned back, letting the gravity of the moment settle. Donovan cleared his throat. "We will convene compliance tribunals this afternoon," he announced. "By tomorrow, we'll have a path forward. Retraining, reassignments, or terminations as necessary." He met Veronica's gaze and offered a small nod, acknowledgement of her role in uncovering the truth. Silence lingered even after the screen went dark. Guests tentatively resumed their conversations, but the air was thick with unspoken questions. Veronica closed her eyes, exhaling slowly. She had wielded her power with precision, and now the real work began, ensuring that justice restored dignity rather than simply piling on punishment. In that quiet aftermath, she understood the full weight of accountability and knew that sometimes the toughest lessons were also the most necessary. The lounge fell into an almost reverent hush. As Donovan Heller stepped aside and Veronica stood, her posture composed but undeniably commanding. Tall windows framed rows of plush leather chairs. For a moment, it felt like time had paused. Then, Veronica raised her hand slightly, an unspoken cue. "Good afternoon," she began, her voice clear and calm. "I'm Veronica Jones." A ripple of surprise stirred among the guests. Cameras stationed for promotional shoots began pivoting toward her. Veronica gave a gracious nod, waiting until the murmurs softened. "Earlier today, I arrived here as just a traveler, but I'm more than that." She paused, letting the moment expand. Then she pressed a button on her phone. Instantly, the big screen above the buffet switched from Skylux logos to a simple slide. Veronica Jones, CEO of Jet Elegance, signatory of $200 M charter agreement. Applause crackled through the room, tentative at first, then more confident as the text settled. Veronica continued. "This lounge, these services, were built on the foundation of that agreement. Yet too many of you treated me as if I didn't belong." She looked directly at the suspended staff, now seated on stools at the side, and then at those still standing. "Privilege is a responsibility, not an assumption." Behind her, the display shifted again to show snippets of the audit log. Bias incidents captured, timestamps, and audio clips of dismissive comments. Each clip played softly, but the impact was unmistakable. Gasps fluttered through the crowd. Guests exchanged astonished glances, and even Donovan's set expression softened in recognition of her meticulous orchestration. Veronica walked slowly to the front, every step deliberate. "Today was a test of integrity," she said. "Integrity is not a slogan, it's action. How we treat every person who walks through that door." She tapped her phone once more. "Activate compliance tribunals." On cue, staff in crisp black uniforms moved to guide the suspended employees out for formal review. A final slide appeared. "Zero tolerance for bias," in bold letters, followed by "Thank you for holding us to our promises." Veronica offered a small, genuine smile. "Let this be a reminder. Assumptions cost us our humanity." I believe in redemption, not ruin, so those who learn and change will be welcome back. The applause this time was real and sustained. As Gloria's soft jazz picked up again, Veronica slipped back into her chair. She crossed her legs and met Donovan's eyes. No words were needed. Justice had been served, and a new chapter for Skylux had just begun. The following morning, Skylux International's inboxes flooded with a single memo. Zero tolerance for bias. Mandatory retraining effective immediately. Managers across departments clicked open the attached action plan. Detailed schedules for workshops, one-on-one coaching sessions, and a new ethical service pledge every employee must sign before their next shift. Veronica watched the internal email chain from the executive observation deck. The city skyline beyond the glass, a muted backdrop to her phone's live updates. Each acknowledgement pinged. Received, lounge ops. Received, ground services. Received, customer relations. The momentum was undeniable. Down in the main terminal, Clara New arrived early to set up the first training seminar in conference room B3. Clara, once a junior attendant, now wore a new name badge, Cultural Integrity Facilitator. She arranged chairs in a semicircle, laid out notepads stamped with Skylux's logo, and tested the presentation slides, scenes of real passenger experiences, clips from the mirror audit, and testimonials from VIP travelers. As the suspended employees, 8 of them, filed in, some with heads bowed, others clutching coffee cups like lifelines, Clara greeted each by name. Her voice was steady, welcoming. Thank you for being here. Today isn't about punishment, it's about restoring trust, both yours and ours. A few skeptical glances flicked her way, but her sincerity held the room's attention. Veronica joined mid-session, slipping in to observe. Clara led a discussion on empathy exercises, role-playing scenarios where staff had to serve unexpected guests, including seniors, families with small children, and travelers with disabilities. When one former bartender fumbled through a warm welcome, Clara gently guided him. Imagine someone's grandmother stepping off a plane. Your kindness shapes their entire journey. During a break, Donovan Heller walked in, pausing at the back. He gave Veronica a brief nod, approval for the new program. Veronica felt a quiet pride. This wasn't the flash of a public shaming. It was the sustained work of cultural repair, exactly what her audience craved. Justice paired with hope. Later, as Clara wrapped up the session, she invited participants to share reflections. A once stolid hostess teared up, admitting she never thought about how small slights add up. Others nodded, writing in their notepads. Veronica quietly recorded the moment. Stage 5. Retraining initiated. Clara closed with a final thought. Service is more than a smile. It's seeing someone's worth before they ask for it. The room sat in contemplative silence, the gravity of the message sinking in. Veronica stood and applauded, joining the others. In that unified clap, she heard more than acknowledgement. She heard commitment. Skylux's story had shifted from one of hidden bias to one of visible change. And for every viewer who'd ever felt overlooked, this chapter promised that respect could be reclaimed, one lesson at a time. A week later, the Skylux lounge felt different. The amber accent lighting still glowed warmly, but the atmosphere carried a newfound openness. Veronica Jones wandered through the space one last time as part of her final inspection, noting smiles that felt genuine, not rehearsed. Near the buffet, Clara New greeted a weary traveler by name and offered a fresh towel without being asked. Veronica paused, watching Clara's calm professionalism. She remembered Clara's first seminar, how Clara had guided her peers to see beyond uniforms and routines. Now Clara stood confidently behind a podium, ready to share her story at the upcoming EverSky Global Leadership Summit. At the far end of the lounge, Veronica spotted Helen Rhodes, the former Skylux manager whose sharp rebuke had sparked so much change. Helen's uniform no longer carried the crisp authority of polished judgment, but bore a simple lanyard labeled Leadership Restoration Track. She stood beside Clara, rehearsing a short speech. Veronica caught Helen's eye, and Helen offered a tentative, grateful smile. Veronica approached, embracing Helen in a light but sincere hug. "Thank you for taking this journey with us," she said softly. Helen's voice trembled with emotion. "I still have work ahead, but I understand now what service truly means." Veronica nodded and turned to Clara. "You're going to be an inspiration today." Clara offered a modest shrug. "I just did what anyone should do," she replied. Veronica smiled. "And that's why you'll reshape our company's future." As Veronica stepped to the center of the lounge, the digital board flickered on. Stay tuned for the Eversky Global Leadership Summit, live stream at 3 p.m. ET. Below it ran the tagline, "Compassion in Action, Stories That Change Us." Veronica raised her hand as if addressing a room full of guests, and in her mind, she spoke to viewers worldwide. Respect isn't earned by wealth or title. It's a choice we make every time someone walks through that door. She imagined the comments flooding in. "I've seen this happen in airports. Thank you for holding them accountable. Where are you watching from?" The lounge filled with soft applause from staff refining last-minute details. Veronica's heart swelled with quiet pride. This story wasn't just about a CEO testing her own company. It was about every person who'd ever been underestimated. As the final strains of jazz drifted through the air, Veronica Jones knew the real journey was just beginning, one where empathy and accountability walked hand in hand. What part of this story resonated with you? Drop your thoughts below. We read every single one.